How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, and welcome back to Sachi stalking. Well, not quite. That sounds really weird. This is the beginning of our experiment where we just follow Sachi along for a day and just see, like, what's her day like? Apparently, it's become questionable enough for almost everybody else at the school that everyone else has done this at one point or another. So essentially, we're just going to be shadowing her. Although she looks a little upset. I don't know what that's all about, but we're going to get to all that. I imagine it's going to be a pretty chill episode. We're just kind of getting settled in, trying to get a good grasp of the situation with Sachi. I'm starting to throw out some of my theories about what's going on behind her eyes, and ironically, my best summary of it is I feel like she's an inverse of Michiru, where Michiru was so, felt so unlovable and ashamed of who she was, and and she would like kind of project outward to protect that core self because she was terrified of people learning who she really was. I think Sachi's the reverse. I think Sachi's terrified of who she is on the inside, and thus she's just allowed everyone else to dictate who she is. Like, they tell her what to do, she does it. They tell her how to dress, she does it. Because she's terrified of making the decisions herself, most likely for some good reason, but yeah, that's my running theory. Anyway, nothing else to it. I think it's going to be a pretty chill one. Mostly, I'm guessing this is going to be a lot more on the the funny, goofy side of stuff rather than taking a dive into the serious. So I imagine this will be a nice and relaxing Friday video. So kick back, enjoy yourself. Let's jump into it. Hey, Sachi. Oh. Oh, maybe she's just waiting for us.
サチはさっきから何をバタバタやってるのよ。女の子かな。なぞなぞか？あまねえのくせに生意気な。生意気じゃない。てか、あんた時々忘れるけど、私の方が年上なんだからね。
Alright, you ready?
はい。それでは早速、
Okay.
私の部屋にご案内しますね。
So I think that must have been nervous energy, maybe. I'm trying to remember. I guess I cut it off at a bad time because I can't remember exactly what we were doing, except for maybe we did do a little bit of digging where we asked JB and the principal about Sachi a little bit and kind of got those insights into the fact that she seems like she's trained. She seems a little too good at what she does to be just like a normal person.
どうぞ中に入ってください。
Oh boy. Yeah. The first thing that catches my eye is a large locker, similar to the one Sachi uses as a storehouse in the classroom. It's also the one thing that catches my it's also the only thing that catches my eye. There's not much else in the way of distinctive personal touches in here. You're one to talk. Minimalist if you put it nicely, plain if you don't, but personally I'm just grateful it isn't some frilly abomination full of stuffed animals and overpowering scented candles.
ぬいぐるみならいくつかロッカーの中にありますよ。
Oh, really? You might think I'd actually ask?
ちなみに私の部屋に男の人が入るのは初めてです。
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, especially at this stage, we're friends, so just treat me like normal. That a fact. Come to think of it, I haven't even poked my head in Sachi's room before.
つまり風見さんが初めての人。
Right.
ことになりますね。
Right. Try not to put it like that when other people can hear you, Michiru, and the company would misunderstand again. Understandably in this case.
そうですね。気をつけます。
So, once you're back in your room, what's the first order of business normally?
それは風見さんと同じ。
Mm-hmm. Right. Let me rephrase that. The first order of business after you change out of your uniform.
腕を上げましたね、風見さん。
At what? Also, couldn't you have gotten changed before I came over?
それが今日はお掃除をしていたので。
And why did you have to do that today in particular?
そういえばなぜでしょう。
Okay, yeah. So as much as she tries to detach herself, I do think that she has emotions. Wow, she's a human. But like, I think she struggles with it because she doesn't have a way to, interpret it or maybe work with it. I don't know. If you don't know the answer, I doubt anyone else will.
次に夕飯の支度時間まで勉強をします。
After changing into her casual clothes, if the term can even apply to a maid uniform, in the back, Sachi begins to unpack a range of study materials from her school bag. Alright, don't worry about me. Go right ahead like you always do.
わかりました。
With that concise answer, Sachi promptly heads over to her desk.
まずは、
After carefully spreading out her notes and a few textbooks, Sachi begins solving problems at a steady pace. In no time at all, she's absorbed in the task at hand. Even watching from behind, her concentration is almost startling. First of all, she goes over the problems we reviewed today a second time. When that's done, she moves methodically through everything we might possibly cover in the next chapter. It's funny because this is actually a legitimate study structure that worked really well for me in college. It was this idea of oh, what if you read ahead? You don't have to know it all, but if you read ahead where you know you're going to be going for the next lesson and you just try and kind of comprehend it, you can actually get a lot more out of the actual class, especially because you can ask questions that matter to you rather than just kind of hoping you catch what you need. And it made it so that the homework afterwards was a lot faster. Even as she jumps to new material and different subjects, her pen never stops its regular mechanical motion across her notebook paper. If nothing else, it's quite a display of academic prowess. You study this much every day?
はい。学校の先生たちから勉強を頑張れと言われてきましたから。
That's your reason?
そうですけど、どこか変でしょうか?
No, strange would be an overstatement. Although, personally speaking, it seems way too weak a motivation to inspire this kind of effort. Yeah, that's the thing, it's scalability and applicability. It's great. It's like the best thing about this is the idea that Sachi's doing everything categorically right. From society's point of view, advice point of view, from elders' point of view, all of that. If all kids were diligent and going through school and doing their study and proactively going aggressively for their study and accomplishing their tasks, doing their chores, keeping themselves clean, tidying up their rooms, all the stuff we get told all the time growing up. And even when you're growing up, you still have to do that. It's just you have to have the motivation yourself because no one's going to pep at you for it. But the thing is that it's so weird for a youth to just go for it. Granted, I think a lot of us were pretty diligent, but that's what makes it so startling and feel so bizarre is not the fact that she's doing it. It's the fact that she doesn't seem to need much more motivation than just a casual reminder and seems to not have any direct interest in something of their own. Sachi doesn't seem to pursue her own interests at all. What are her actual hobbies? It seems like her hobby is just doing what people tell her, and that just doesn't feel human. And it's funny because while it makes her proficient at everything, it also makes everyone feel a little weird. It just doesn't feel right. And I love that they're actually exploring this idea of it's almost the flaws of a person and the humanness of a person that makes it so that they're more approachable, easier to grasp, and easier to get along with. And when someone's actually just following through with perfect efficiency, it almost feels inhuman, which is funny. Getting up from her seat without even pausing to stretch, Sachi immediately begins to pack away her books and study aids. Next up would be preparing dinner then.
Kazami-san, 今私の心を読みましたか?
It's not like it's hard to predict. Don't give me that utterly astounded face. You told me your schedule before, remember?
そういえばそうでした。目から鱗です。
There's that phrase again. Been a while since I heard that catchphrase. Anyway, while you were eating dinner, I guess I should...
もしよければ、風見さんも一緒に食べていきますか?
That really alright with you?
はい。皆さんが見に来られた時もそうしていましたし、その方が手間も省けると思うのですが、ダメでしょうか?
No, not necessarily. No, I don't have any reason to refuse. I'll take you up on that.
ありがとうございます。
I watch idly as Sachi trots off towards the kitchen to prepare the meal. Just now, her smile seemed unusually happy. Was it just my imagination? So there is real emotion there. What on earth is that song? That sounds straight out of the 50s. About 10 minutes after Sachi begins her preparations, I hear a rhythmic sound of a kitchen knife striking a cutting board. Within a few moments, she accompanies the steady precision with a bizarre song, almost certainly another of Makina's compositions.
Dun, dun.
Up to this point, I can't deny she's giving herself exactly nothing in the way of legitimate free time. Frankly, her constant motion and eager devotion to her tasks aren't particularly different from what I normally see out of her at school. From the smell of things, it's curry, right?
ご明察です。それに、風見さんはカレーがお好きでしたよね。
That's cool. It's actually funny too, because like I've mentioned, it might be off topic, but hey, my show, I get to relate on what stuff that's fun for me. One of the things I've explored in the past few years has been cooking. I've really gotten to baking, and I started to kind of dabble in other things as well. And one of the things I ended up kind of accidentally developing was the fact that I love curry, and I didn't want to go out and pay for curry all the time, but I wanted to have some. And every time I'd made curry in the past, you follow like a standard recipe, you end up making like a batch. The problem is that's a lot of curry. It doesn't last very long, and you don't. It's always so miserable to throw away good food like that. And so I actually was able to do some investigating and do some kind of tweaking adjustments, and I was able to make small batch curry recipe. Now it's not like it's original or anything. It's this idea of just being able to make ingredients in a batch and a size and a style on the stove that allows all the vegetables to cook and marinate in a way that like allows you to pull out all that good flavor, but without having to stew it all day, nor having to make a massive amount of it. The massive amount is convenient because normally you're feeding like a family or something, but if you need to feed just yourself, because just the circumstances sometimes, like I'm the only one who wants the curry or has the time to make it, and so I make it for myself. And it's really nice to be able to make like a little, just one bowl's worth of curry, but putting all the ingredients together myself. And then I also switched out rice for quinoa. That's probably heretical for a lot of people, but frankly, quinoa's better. Like it has a lot more like good stuff for you. Like it's got protein and other vitamins, but it's also frankly delicious. I don't know if you've never had quinoa, I recommend you try it. It really works as a rice replacement. And for curry, it's fantastic. It just melts really well because it's got a bit of a nutty flavor. And so it goes really well with like the umami and like the spice that comes with the curry. Anyway, that's cooking for the day. Yeah. Curry was downright treasured at my old school. It's filling, nutritious, and tends to taste decent no matter who makes it. And apart from the practical appeal, it does fall into the category of food I personally prefer. But have I ever declared myself a curry fanatic in front of Sachi? I'm not sure the enthusiastic gourmand who made a habit of advertising his taste.
どうかしましたか?
No, it's nothing. Well, there's no need to think too hard about something that trivial. Yeah, okay, so she's done some digging. I wonder if she did a background check on it when he showed up. I still wonder, like, I don't know if it ever comes up. Maybe it's a specific route, but like there's always that instance where like some random guys tried to like accost us in an alleyway in like the main route leading up, right? And like the implication was that some random person hired them off the internet, like on the dark web or something. And I wondered, like, my top candidates for that was like someone like involving Yumiko, just because she tended to be so hostile and like couldn't attack us or threaten us, and so she might have gone for another measure. And then the other guess was actually Sachi, maybe like doing some weird bizarre test or something. I don't know.
ちなみに風見さんは隠し味にヨーグルトを入れても平気な方ですか?
Not like the sweet yogurt. She's talking about like probably Greek yogurt. That's fine. I'm not what you call a picky eater anyway. As a rule, I eat whatever's put on my plate.
尋ねる前からそんな気はしていたのですが、それだと天音さんもやりやすいかもしれませんね。
Maybe, but she complains if it's less satisfying when there's no challenge.
天音さんらしいですね。
Sachi keeps up a natural flow of conversation without ever losing focus on the work at hand. Considering how busy she keeps herself, I don't really have any opportunities to make small talk with Sachi, so this sort of idle conversation feels a bit novel. Come to think of it, when did you start cooking for yourself, Sachi?
この学園に来てからです。
Okay. Out of necessity, in other words?
はい。それまではおばさんがご飯を作ってくれていましたから。
That's the first mention we've heard of a personal connection in your life. Holy crap, how'd it take this long? Auntie. Auntie, huh? First I've heard of her, but grilling Sachi about her family would probably fall on the tactless side of things. Not that long then. Seems like you're quick on the uptake.
そうですね。どちらかといえば水なしで薬を飲んだりするのは得意ですよ。
Oh. I was like, what are you talking about? But of course. Sure, whatever. By the way, that is kind of a superpower, I think. I've had to do it like once or twice. It's awful. I hate swallowing pills without a glass of water.
お待たせしました。
In the time it takes for our conversation to run off the tracks into a total incoherence, the Sachi-style curry has reached completion. The curry itself is impressively attractive, and I've got no complaints about the smell either. The salad she added as sort of garnish appears fresh and appetizing as well. As a whole, there's no reason to hesitate. Alright then, I'm gonna get right to it.
どうぞ召し上がってください。
After briefly bringing my hands together for politeness' sake, I scoop up a spoonful of curry and bring it to my mouth. I can summarize my impression fairly concisely. It's homemade curry. Rather than spicy variety you might be served at a restaurant, it's mild, soothing, comfortable food anyone could eat. The yogurt probably contributed a lot to that. But for some reason, Sachi's intently watching me eat instead of starting on her own share. Don't worry, it doesn't seem to be poisoned. Go ahead and eat, Sachi.
はい。
Once I point this out to her, Sachi starts to move her spoon as well. Without much in the way of conversation, we quietly eat careful spoonful after spoonful of curry into our mouths. Among other things, the acidity of the yogurt she added as flavoring tempers the aftertaste nicely, so there's no real need to pause.
風見さん、もう完食です。
So it seems. Before I know it, the reasonably sized helping she'd served me has vanished altogether.
ルーはたくさんあるので、今おかわりをお持ちしますね。
As Sachi leans forward to take my plate, I reflexively reach out and drop a hand on top of her head. Nice work, Sachi. It's not often I actually want a second helping. Oh! As I lightly ruffle her hair, a visible jolt of surprise runs through Sachi's body. Sorry. Sort of realized I hadn't given you my thoughts or anything. Just a spur-of-the-moment thing.
いえ、少し驚いただけなので。
Aww. That's actually really sweet. Aw, why's it gotta be so cute? In that case, mind if I keep this up a little longer? You did ask for more praise, after all.
驚きました。風見さん、私のお願いを覚えていてくれたんですか？
Ironically, like I mentioned before, some of my reasoning for why I chose to do the Sachi route as our follow-up route. Frankly, the fact that her one request of us was like for head pats was like, how do you turn that down, man? It left such a big impression. What, you think I've gone senile or something? Not like it's been long enough for me to forget?
そうですね。
Sachi finally smiles. After a few more gentle strokes, I lower my hand from her head.
ありがとうございます、風見さん。
Well, sure. Although I know it's not much of a reward considering the effort you put into the meal.
いえ、私には十分すぎるくらいです。
Deflecting my words in a light tone of voice, Sachi heads back off to the kitchen to refill my plate. Guess you could say that's typical of Sachi, but there's such a thing as being too modest.
次は大浴場でお風呂の時間です。
Ritual ablutions. Cool. Once the tableware has all been cleaned away, Sachi announces the next stage of her plans, carefully balancing a rubber duck on top of her head. That's adorable. Yeah, guess that makes sense.
風見さんも一緒に入られますか？
Uh-huh. Thanks for the disturbingly casual invitation, but I didn't bring a towel or a change of clothes.
もしよろしければ、ここに男性用の着替えもありますが。
I can't be surprised by that anymore. Come to think of it, you mentioned something about that the day I moved in.
これで障害はなくなりました。
It is just me, or is there much bigger obstacles still remaining here, such as, I don't know, common sense? Sorry, but I think I'll pass.
そうですか。
Normally, I wouldn't have a reason to refuse, but in this case, I feel like you need to carefully rethink when and why you make an offer like that.
わかりました。風見さんがそうおっしゃるなら、そうします。
Well, at least she listens to reason, although I'm far from confident she actually understands the underlying problem here. She
では
might.
30分ほどで戻りますので、それまで部屋で待っていてください。
I think she might. Like, it's pretty clear she has an interest in us. Like, that's... I don't know if she even really knows of her interest in us, like, truly, but, like, she clearly does. I don't know, that's weird. It's a weird situation to be in. I kind of like that Yuji's, you know, being reasonably responsible about this and not being just, like, a crazed, like, rabid, like, animal about it. You don't mind leaving me in your room alone?
はい。ちなみに私の。
I already know where you keep your underwear.
また心を読みましたか？
Not exactly. You told me yourself a few weeks ago, remember?
だとしたら、その時の私は、風見さんが部屋に来ることを予見していたんでしょうか？
See, like, it would feel like flirting, but, like, you just don't know. Like, Fascinating question, but I'm really not sure what you're asking me.
では、ひとまず私は。
Hold it. Just as Sachi moves to open her door, I reach out and intercept her hand.
やっぱり一緒に入りますか？
That's not it. There's something on the other side of the door.
誰か。
That said, the only real question is which of the four stooges couldn't contain their curiosity. I'm guessing it's all of them, but if I had to pick, number 1 would be Amane, number 2 Makina, Michiru 3, although Michiru was the more perturbed when she found out about this whole thing, like she was like stomping around earlier. So yeah, it could just be all of them. Alright, listen up, count to 3, then throw it open with me.
はい。
3, 2, 1. As expected, our sudden action prompts a distinctly feminine shriek. Oh my gosh!
急にドアが。
It was literally the one I didn't think it would actually be here. Glancing down, I found a dumbfounded Sakaki sprawled out on her backside a few feet away. And what are you doing out here? Your room's on the second floor, isn't it?
別に構わないでしょ。今日はたまたまボイラー室に用事があったの。
What is it exactly that my classmates are such uniformly terrible liars? That's nice. By the way, Sachi's heading off to the grand bath, just in case you were curious.
まさか、あなたも一緒に？
Please, I'm staying here, obviously.
まあ、当たり前ね。
Apparently, somewhat relieved by this news, Sakaki lightly brushes her disheveled bangs back into place.
それより小峰さん、風見くんに変なことを強要されたりしていない？はい、今のところ胸を見せろ、股を開け等の性的な要求はありません。
Oh gosh, please don't even pretend I even. Oh my gosh.
そう。
Vince now, surprising as it may seem to you, I'm a gentleman.
そんなことに興味はないわ。
Oh, well, there's a tsundere for you. Seems Sakaki has decided to trust me for the time being as she abruptly turns away and heads back up the stairs. That girl's got it tough on her own right. Can't be easy going through life with that contrary personality.
榊さんはみちる様に似てツンデレに近いところがあるんだと思います。
That's true. In fact, Sakaki's the actual, if there's anyone who's a true tsundere besides maybe Yuuji, Sakaki is the one that would actually qualify. Might have a point there, sadly.
お先にお湯をいただきました。
30 minutes on the dot after the incident outside her door, Sachi pokes her head inside, slightly flushed face back into the room. Got out of there without fainting today, I see.
はい、マキちゃんとアマネさんから絶対に1万数えなくてもいいと言われましたから。
That's a relief. I see. Apparently, that brief conversation last night was in fact enough to reset Sachi's bathing behavior to something slightly more sane.
それで、風見さんお気に入りの下着はどれだったんでしょう？
You gotta admit, like, the casualness that she throws these lines out is just amazing. Does the dresser look like it's been disturbed since you left the room?
そうですか。
Don't sound disappointed. I really don't think that warrants such a disappointed tone of voice. Fighting off a wave of exasperation, I turn my attention to the untouched dresser back to Sachi, from the untouched dresser back to Sachi, to find her staring at me with a distinctive nonplussed expression. What? What? Something on your mind?
その、私は今見るからに湯上がりの状態だと思うのですが。
Yeah, you are. At the very least, you don't resemble a pale old man wheezing after a marathon.
しかも男性が持つ征服欲を適度に刺激するメイド服姿です。
Okay. You could just ask. That you are?
だとすれば、年頃の男性がとても口には出せないような烈情を抱いておかしくない状況だと思うのですが、風見さんはそうならないのでしょうか？
Well, to be frank, those are normal things, and most guys learn to control that urge. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen all the time, but you learn to, like, function as a human in society most of the time, and don't just go accosting people because... What, it sounds like it would be fun? That'd be the horrifying world where people wouldn't control themselves. That'd be, like, it'd literally be anarchy. No, like even though it's like you're lovely, you're dressed beautifully, you're just fresh out of the bath, all these steps here, like there's no precedent. There's no hostility. There's nothing weird going on. Now, obviously, you seem kind of open to the idea, so it's like, all right, Sachi, like, do you want me to do that? Like, I don't know, man. No, can't say it is.
なぜでしょう。私は今、主としての死刑宣告を受けた気がします。
Okay, that's an interesting way to say it. Relax, I'm not saying you're unattractive.
そうなのでしょうか。
Yeah, like I said with the bath, your problem is timing. Under the right circumstances, this sort of event you're imagining is perfectly possible. This isn't one of those times, that's all.
その見極めが私にできるでしょうか。
Not to worry. If that time comes, you're not going to be able to miss it, even if you want to.
なるほど。風見さんのお話はいつも勉強になります。
That wasn't an answer, though. Although I'm certainly not going to guarantee it'll ever come to that. So, seems like you finally reached some genuine free time. What are you planning to do next?
眠ります。
What?
スリープです。
Thanks for the translation. Just to be perfectly clear, I wasn't wondering about the meaning of your words.
では、今の、は？
I mean, it's not even 9 p.m. yet, right? Are you seriously planning on sleeping already?
はい。用がないときはいつもこうですが、早寝は悪いことでしょうか？
No, definitely not actually, now that I think about it, because she usually wakes up at like the crack of dawn, right, to do other stuff, so in a sense it is the right thing to do. No, I wouldn't say it's bad, but admittedly I'm hardly an expert on the lifestyle of students these days, but I'm confident there aren't many of them who make a habit of going to bed this early. Especially in the case of young women, from what I've seen, you could do another 12 hours of every night and they still wouldn't have enough time. Do you not watch television or play games? No time at all for recreation?
テレビはマキちゃんが見ようと言った時しか見ませんし、ゲームも皆さんから誘われない限りはやりません。
Seriously? That came out cracked. I don't know why. Seriously?
はい。嘘をついたら針を1000本飲むという約束ができるくらいです。
Let's not say that. Not even pretend that we say that. Frankly, it's still a little hard to believe that she doesn't relax at all, but from what I've seen in this room, she certainly doesn't seem to have much in the way of entertainment-oriented belongings. And Sachi's personality being what it is, guess it really was literally true.
人の言うことをよく聞いて夜更かしはしない。それがいい子ですから。
Is that the core? Maybe what her aunt said. Listen carefully to what you're told and get plenty of sleep at night. Like that's the foundation of her identity, or at least her persona. And the instant Sachi delivers that oddly phrased sentence with a smile on her face, I finally realize the nature of the unease I've been feeling about her behavior. It's pretty simple, really. She resembles me. Yeah, I thought we'd mentioned that before, but like they're very similar in that regard where like he has hobbies, but the thing is like even think about his hobbies. Like he runs. It's what he's supposed to do. It's what he learned since basic. You have to keep your body and maintain your strength. He reads. Whoever his foster parent was, whoever that lady was that took care of him, she talked about the importance of being well read. So he reads. So even though Yuuji has recreational stuff that he does, everything he does is kind of a reflection of what other people told him is a good idea. Now, I get the impression that he does enjoy reading. He doesn't just do it to do it. He talks about how it used to be kind of like he just would do it, but now he genuinely looks forward to it. But in that sense, it is really similar. Organizing her life around diligently following orders, she never allows herself to doubt them, let alone defy those who make use of her. And almost an extension of that, her private activities are little more than bare minimum routines of daily existence. The same as me, in other words. Grilling her about recreation is more than a little hypocritical on my part. Looking at Sachi, I've been seeing myself, and the discomfort I felt was a reflection of my uncertainty about my own way of life.
安心できましたか?
Huh? Taken off guard by her question, I responded in an unusually feeble tone of voice.
最近の風見さんはどこか私のことを心配してくれているようでしたので、普段の私を見てもらうことで風見さんの不安が少しでも解消されたのなら嬉しいです。
Well, this is yet another surprise. Didn't think I was so transparent and that a schoolgirl could see through me. Alright, I understand that much, but what made you think I was feeling relieved?
なんだか 風見さんが笑っているような気がしたんです。
Aw, smiling.
はい、私にはそう見えました。
I don't remember grinning to myself during that little internal monologue. If anything, the look on my face should have been something like surprise. But apparently, something about my face suggested a smile to her. I see. I was right about one thing. You really are an interesting one, Sachi.
この場合、それは褒め言葉になるのでしょうか?
I'll let you decide how to interpret it, but at the very least, it's better than boring, right?
どちらにしても複雑な評価です。
Yeah. Sachi says relieving my anxiety would make her happy. I'm not sure I understand the exact meaning of those words, but I'm looking back on it, this visit did inspire a mysterious sense of tranquility. Whatever the details, I don't think this can be a bad thing. Well, guess I've confirmed the mechanics of your free time policy, but before we wrap things up, let's make an arrangement to clear up the other matter as well.
もう一つの疑問
Yeah,
ですか?
what are you talking about here? Yeah, we were going to see how difficult a question it takes to stump you, remember?
そういえば、そんなお話もありましたね。
Summer vacation starts the day after tomorrow, so we might as well take care of that fairly soon. What's your schedule like?
そうですね。今のところ大きな予定は入っていません。
Does that mean you won't be heading home for the break?
それは、おじさんたちから連絡があれば、といった感じです。
Guess a slightly less intimate connection with home might not be too surprising when you're living with less immediate relatives. Okay, so how about starting right off the bat the day after tomorrow? That work for you?
はい、大丈夫です。
Alright, we'll assemble in the classroom at 1 p.m. 2 days from now.
あさっての午後1時に学園の教室ですね。
Right.
ということは、私は今、風見さんと約束をしたということになりますよね。
Warning bell! Well, I guess you could put it that way.
わかりました。では、約束です。
Yeah, sure. That's settled. I won't keep you from your sleep any longer. Have a good rest.
はい。すぐに風見さんの分のお布団もご用意させていただきますね。
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna get surprised. Thanks anyway, but that's not going to be necessary. I still haven't overcome the constant unease I feel toward myself or my doubts about my lax new life in this place, but I have learned something new in the very last few days. There's someone else like me here. For some reason, I feel like this objectively pointless little quiz game I've been entrusted with is going to yield interesting results. Not that I have any concrete reason to believe that, but it's not an unpleasant feeling. By the time I reach my room, I'm almost looking forward to it.
サブジェクトが部屋に戻ったのよ。さすがにお泊まりってことはなかったみたいね。
Yeah, not that Sachi didn't try.
それは絶対ないって、あまねえ分かってたよな。分かってたけど、一応心配したくなるの。その意味がさっぱりわかんねえけど、お前も難儀な性格だな。
Kid.
いいじゃない。それが女の子ってもんなのよ。
Alright, well that was interesting. Very enlightening though. Ooh.
おはようございます、風見さん。
Sometimes the angles in anime and visual novels are a little weird. But it's actually a very cute intro right here. I entered the classroom a little before the time we agreed to meet. Sachi's already waiting inside.
今日はちゃんと来てくれたんですね。
Oh, promises. I wonder if she has a thing with promises. She always keeps her promises. I wonder if someone breaking a critical promise to her is a major point for her. Well, yeah, we did have a promise.
そうですね。
Anyway, you came in uniform? Really are class rep to the core, aren't you?
学生手帳の校則欄に、校舎施設利用時は原則として制服着用のことと書いてありますから。
I see. I'm pretty sure Sachi's the only one who's ever bothered to read the fine print at the back of the booklet, but fair enough.
それともここは、みちる様のように髪の色を脱色したりして、垢抜けてみた方が良かったでしょうか。
Please no. Michiru's amazing, but we don't need two of you. To be honest, I'm having a hard time picturing you as a bleach blonde tsundere.
でしたら、夏休み中もこのままで行かせていただきますね。
I'll leave that to your discretion. Anyway, I guess the first question is how we should go about testing you.
はじめは、キスの練習からですよね。
Again, the best, the most amazing part is just how out of left field these come. Like, you'd think I would be getting used to this by now, and maybe I kind of am, but like, I still, like, it's still just like, oh, okay, well, there we go. Sure, right, whatever. Please give me a coherent explanation of how you arrived at that conclusion.
すみません。年下の女の子と二人きりという状況を風見さんが意識されているのではないかと思い、私なりに場を和ませてみたのですが。
Okay. Appreciate the thought, but your jokes tend to have the opposite effect.
不思議です。風見さんに言われるととてもショックです。
Aww. Things have already taken a dubious turn, but there's no going back now. Alright, guess I'll choose some questions from the material we'll probably be learning in the fall. Feel like starting with that subject in particular?
そうですね。数学でしたら昨日それなりに予習してきました。
I see. In that case, let's start with math and see how far you can go on a day's worth of studying.
はい、よろしくお願いします。
Alright, next up is a square root problem. Think you can handle it?
これで合っているでしょうか?
Correct. As soon as started actually offering her problems, I'm startled all over again by Sachi's academic skills. All the questions I'm giving her are from sections of the textbook we haven't learned in class yet, and she's solving them with apparent ease. That doesn't change when I start mixing in my own original problems either, so clearly it's clear that she didn't just mindlessly memorize the textbook. That's interesting. So what, did you say this yesterday as well?
はい、そうなります。
Just how much did you get through?
そうですね。自分ではこの教科書に載っている部分は一通り勉強してきたつもりです。
You're telling me she's meaning overall, right? Like, she didn't literally study a whole textbook one day. Sachi delivers this line with her usual calm smile, but if what she's saying is true, she's mastered nearly an entire year's worth of material in a single day. I guess that would explain how she's been answering problems we wouldn't be looking at for months so easily. If she can do that, she's a certifiable genius. What is she doing here? Just for reference, what time did you get to bed last night?
寝ていないということになると思います。
Oh, Sachi! You pulled an all-nighter. Possible in Sachi's case, but I've got some very simple question. Why did you feel the need to try that hard?
テストがあるならいい点を取れるように頑張るのが普通なのではないでしょうか。
Sure, but that's hardly a reason to stay up all night.
そうなのでしょうか。
In an admirable display of dexterity, Sachi tilts her head to the side in confusion, even as she's nodding her consent. Oh, wait. So she tilts aside and nods? I guess it's just not like a usual motion. I had similar thoughts about her ridiculous daily preparation for class, but this only confirms my impression. This girl puts in an unbelievable effort for the flimsiest of reasons. True, you can wrap everything up by just calling it Sachi diligent by nature, but I have a feeling that behavior has something to do with why she's in the school in the first place. Well, whatever the case, I have to admit, you've taken me by surprise here. Didn't expect you to be quite this impressive.
そう思っていただけたなら頑張った甲斐がありました。
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the range of problems you've solved already would be more than enough to amaze the others.
ということはテストもこれで終わりになりますか?
Michiru and company asked me to find Sachi's limit. As long as she's continuing to answer the questions correctly, it'd be premature to end the testing. Well, as long as it's alright with you, mind playing along a little longer?
はい、風見さんに満足していただけるまで何度でもお相手させていただきます。
Cool. Are you doing this on purpose? By the time the sun's touched the horizon, Sachi's worked her way into the questions from next year's math curriculum without a single mistake. And so we agreed to suspend testing for the evening and continue for tomorrow. Fetch me, she's like a grade ahead. What is this demon?
おかえりなさい、風見さん。
When I return to the school grounds after my daily running session, Sachi greets me with a broom in hand. Sweeping the courtyard today, I see?
はい、夏休みに入ったので学園の敷地内を全体的にお掃除しようと思いまして。
Not that diligence is a bad thing, but it feels like you're on the middle of a chore every time I run into you.
風見さんが少しだらけた方がいいとおっしゃるのでしたら、クラス委員らしい範囲でだらけてみますが。
How do you quantify laziness? Are you really capable of that?
境界線の見極めに3ヶ月ほどお時間をいただければ。
Oh, literally doing research. In that case, I think I'd rather see you working hard like always.
そう言っていただけると助かります。あ、それからよろしければこれを。
Oh? Trotting over to a bucket full of ice sitting in the shade of a tree, Sachi retrieves a bottle of water and brings it back to me. Aww. You had this waiting for me.
風見さんがランニングに出られたのは知っていましたので、勝手ながら用意させていただきました。
That's beautiful. I see. Thanks. Appreciate it.
いえいえです。
With a few words of thanks, I accept the plastic bottle from Sachi, then drop myself onto the nearby bench and quickly gulp it down. Tasty. It looks like a plain bottle of water, but there's a bit of lemon juice and honey added for flavor. Another thoughtful touch on Sachi's part. Typical that girl didn't say anything about the extra effort she put in. Why not mention it? Might have gotten some more of that praise she likes so much. Considering her request for compliments, Sachi doesn't exactly flaunt her accomplishments. Then again, that clumsily selfless side of her personality is probably part of what makes her impossible to dislike. It also is probably one of the biggest reasons she doesn't get praise, is because, like, we're used to people fishing for praise. Heck, we all do it. As I'm pondering these matters, Sachi returns to her cleaning.
カイト、革靴、燃えるゴミ、燃えないゴミも燃えるゴミ。
What on earth are these songs? Hey, Sachi, can you maybe give this particular song a rest?
思わず口ずさんでしまいたくなりますか？
No, to be perfectly frank, it doesn't really work for you. A maid cheerfully singing gruesome jingles as she cleans is just too surreal.
ですが、この歌も著作権フリーだから掃除の時に歌ってほしいのよさとマキちゃんにお願いされているので。
Is that translating correctly? Does it actually mention like releasing the song under a Creative Commons license? Like that's there's a weird reference to make. Right, I get the picture. Looks like I'll have to take this up with our budding songwriter. But either way, you really seem to enjoy sweeping.
そうですね。まだ小さい頃にお母さんとお父さんから褒めてもらった私唯一の特技みたいなものですから。
Alright, so we got first mention of parents. Your parents sound like nice people.
はい。私はお父さんもお母さんも大好きでした。
Past tense, huh? This is the first time I've heard Sachi talk about her parents, but her expression visibly softened when she mentioned them. Even putting aside her pathological, honest personality, you can tell from the look on her face that she's not lying about how much she loved them. Come to think of it, I did have one other acquaintance who enjoyed cleaning up, although that was a long time ago. Come on, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm picking up the trash. I mean, next time I come here to play, wouldn't it be nicer to find the place clean? She was the sort of kid who'd actually go around picking up the garbage scattered around the playground after playing. Oh, is she actually going to be a childhood friend of his? That'd be interesting. I think she was younger than me, but her sheer energy and forceful personality made it feel like the opposite. The girl was a genuine tomboy, constantly laughing and running around. Pretty much the polar opposite of our docile maid like Sachi.
どうかされましたか、風見さん？
Nope, it's nothing.
そうですか。
But still, it's pretty unusual for me to remember something from before I met my master. Since my memories before that point are pretty much all ones I'd rather erase from my mind. The otherwise quiet classroom, the constant movement of pen on paper is the only real sound. After lunch, Sachi and I picked up the testing where we left off yesterday.
あ、風見先輩、今変なところ見てませんでした？
Where's this tone coming from? Sachi suddenly covers her chest with both hands as if now only now realizing I'm watching her.
もう、私の学力を調べてやるなんて言って、本当は別の目的があったんじゃないですか？
What is happening? Her tone changed. Continuing in the same tone, she offers me a coquettish smile. And what if I am?
いいですよ。風見先輩がどうしてもって言うなら。
Oh gosh, no. Spurred on by the intimate atmosphere of a one-on-one meeting, a young girl summons her courage to make a flirtatious approach. Normally, this is exactly the sort of gift horse no red-blooded man would think twice about accepting, but... Wonder why I'm not getting even slightly in the mood.
可愛い後輩が頑張って勇気を出してるのに、その反応はないんじゃないですか？
Because she's talking like Amane. Like, she actively is talking like Amane. What's happening? Okay, you can stop the act.
わかりました。
Once I give the signal, Sachi's attitude snaps instantly back to normal.
やはり私の演技力不足が原因でしょうか。
No, if anything, I think you were a bit too convincing. If I didn't know Sachi, I'm pretty sure I would have bought that as her real personality, but since I do, the contrast was kind of bizarre.
となると、羞恥心をかなぐり捨てる勢いで熱演したのが裏目に出てしまったかもしれませんね。
Only in this case because it's me. Do you have any sense of shame in the cast aside in the first place?
何を言うんですか、風見さん。羞恥心の代名詞とも言われる私を捕まえて。
Not sure if I agree with you there. In my experience, shy people don't generally take their clothes off in front of others.
それは恥ずかしいことじゃないじゃないですか。
I mean, sure, especially when you look that good. By all means, flaunt it if you got it, I suppose. Does she seriously believe that? The girl's definitely been something else, although in this case, that's not necessarily a compliment.
それよりどうして先輩心をくすぐるちょっとわがままな後輩になりきってくれなんてお願いをされたんですか？
Okay, so he asked her to do a role, and she just became a Mane. Right, guess it was sort of modest attempt at getting back at you for coming so well prepared.
テストの予習をしてきてはいけなかったのでしょうか？
Well, the point of this is to determine the limits of your academic ability, but the more you study, the more those limits go up, right? At this rate, your testing might never actually end.
なるほど、そういうことだったんですね。
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm giving her problems even harder than yesterday's, and she's still working her way smoothly through every question.
すみません。私そこまで気が回りませんでした。
No, it's my fault for not saying anything about cramming beforehand. Just try not to approach this quite so seriously from now on.
はい、わかりました。
I briefly drop my hand onto Sachi's head as we speak, and soon receive a smile in return.
それと参考までにお聞きしたいのですが、
What?
先ほどの具体的な指定は風見さんの好みと考えていいのでしょうか？
I wonder, actually. Yeah, what are your preferences, Yuuji? No, it's just that the younger women I've known tended to act something like that.
それをどうして私に？
Well, when I was taking you to the courtyard earlier, I remembered one in particular. Struck me that this girl was pretty much the exact opposite of an obedient maid type like you, Sachi, so I got interested in seeing if you could pull it off. Well, if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, the part about tickling the hearts of older men might have been tacked on for other reasons. Right.
そういうことだったんですね。
Yeah, so anyway, that's not particularly my type or anything.
わかりました。
Apparently, satisfied with my explanation, Sachi closes her eyes and nods deeply. That's a very familiar gesture, but it's rare for her to ask this many questions of me in the first place. By the way, what do you think about that sort of person? When I ask for Sachi's thoughts on the extension of this little experiment, she pauses for a moment before replying, her expression suddenly grown serious.
やっぱりわがままを言うのは悪いことだと思います。
A bad thing, huh?
はい。
I've noticed before that Sachi's judgments tend to be delivered in simple black and white terms. In particular, she has something of a habit of dividing things into the good and the bad. I always thought of it as a minor quirk, but from the strange emphasis she places in those words, I'm beginning to think it might be a central part of her worldview. Interesting, yeah. I guess if you really had a strict philosophy, black and white, good, evil, right, wrong, it would make it easier to do things like good people do this, bad people do this. So always do the good, don't do the bad. It simplifies things. Again, it kind of makes it formulaic. Like she won't trust her own reasonableness, or she doubts her doubts, and so she just doesn't even give them time of day. She just has a strict set of like good, bad, right, wrong, white, black, and just sticks with it. Well, I guess that's enough for a break. Let's get back to the tests.
わかりました。
Deciding to refocus on the reason we're here, I cut off the meandering conversation. Sachi's response by promptly turning her notebook to a fresh page of paper.
ではこの続きはどうしましょう？昨日のように一つの教科書を順番に解いていきますか？
No, I'm going to jump a few steps and start giving you problems from material we're not scheduled to learn in this school.
さすが S の化身と呼ばれる風見さんです。従順な後輩にも容赦がありません。
Who said that? Don't really have a choice, you're just that good.
今度は明らかな褒め殺しです。こうして飴と鞭を使い分けられていくうちに、私は 風見さんに籠絡されてしまうんですね。
Okay, calm down. Okay, that's more than enough of that. I'm giving you the problem now, right?
はい。
This girl. As the scenery outside begins to take on an orange tint of early twilight, Sachi's pen comes to a halt. That's the last problem of the day. Solved it?
答えは出たのですが、合っている自信はあまりありません。
Have we finally reached it? Haven't seen her this uncertain about a problem yet, but let's see. Picking up Sachi's notebook, I compare her work against the answer in the collection of problems.
どうでしょうか。
It's correct.
それなら良かったです。
Gosh darn it, this girl! Apparently, Sachi's lack of confidence was genuine rather than an attempt at modesty, judging from the way she slumps back in her chair with a relieved smile. From the look of things, she might finally make her first mistake tomorrow.
今日はたくさん頭を使ったので、少し疲れてしまいました。
In that case, let's take it easy for a little while. I'll buy you something to drink.
それでしたら。
Oh? What? If you want some soda in particular, better say it now.
いえ、
Oh?
そっちのリクエストではなく。
Oh? What's this? Hesitantly mumbling vague words, Sachi doodles small circles in her notebook paper. I see, so that's what this is about. Taking an educated guess from Sachi's attitude, I gently bring my hand to rest on top of her head. You did a good job today, Sachi. And this time, I begin to slowly stroke her hair back and forth. Aww. Sachi lets out a quiet sigh as her eyes fall closed. Must have tickled a bit. You make the same face every time I do this, you know that? Reminds me of a kitten having its face cleaned by its mother.
それだけ愛くるしいということでしょうか。
Give it to her, man. Just be like, yeah. By which I mean you're just that defenseless.
そうですね。今の私なら無条件降伏もあり得る場面です。
That's actually, this is getting disturbingly sweet. Like, it's so sweet, I feel like there's a hammer about to fall. To what? Alright, that's about enough?
はい。ありがとうございました。
I finally stop petting Sachi once my hand grows warm from the motion. She responds with a polite little bow of thanks. Kind of odd request, though. Not like having your head stroked is going to help you with fatigue, is it?
そんなことはありません。風見さんの手は栄養ドリンク10本にも勝ります。
Aww. That a fact. Impressively forceful and earnest words, although I can't say that makes them any less bizarre. But still, I've got to watch my step around this girl. Lately, these little petting sessions have started to feel oddly pleasant to me on my end as well. Alright, so we're done with the testing for today. You have any other plans?
7時からマキちゃんと一緒にテレビを見る約束をしています。
In that case, let's get you back to the dorm before she starts throwing a temper tantrum.
はい。
Aww.
サッチー!
It hurts. It hurts. The instant we entered the dorm, Makina's shouting in the faces almost as if she foresaw this exact moment of our return.
あれ？まだ約束の時間には早いよね。ところがどっこい。今回はお届け物なのよさ。
As she speaks, Makina holds something out to Sachi.
このマグロマンの宿敵カルビ将軍のストラップが付けられた携帯ってサッチーのだよな。
Oh.
そうだけど、これどこで？さっき晩ご飯前のお風呂に行ってきたのだけれど、湯船の中でダイビング決めてたところを保護したのよさ。
Oh no! How did it get there?
へえ、携帯もダイビングするんだね。
Or maybe you just dropped it in when you were cleaning?
あ、さすが風見さん。中村さん顔負けの名水入りです。
Sure. Who the hell is Mr. Nakamura? Putting aside the particular mystery, it's pretty surprising that Sachi didn't realize it was missing.
で、それを見つけたところまでは良かったのだけど、この携帯、完全に黙秘を決め込んじゃってるのよ。
I was hoping that by finding it in the bath, she meant that she found it literally like in an empty bath, because you normally fill them, but that doesn't sound like it would be the case. Going underwater is probably going to be fatal unless you have some special waterproof model.
それなら、
Accepting her cell phone right from Makina, Sachi gently slides it inside her clothing.
なんで懐？ほら、温めたら電源が入るかなと思って。
No, you want to dry it out. Use rice, maybe. Like uncooked rice. Just to be sure, that wasn't an attempt at a joke, right?
そこを突っ込むのは野暮ってもんなのよ。ちょっと天然入っちゃってる感じがサッチンの魅力なのだから。
It's true, it feels like it's a national treasure at this point. I see. Alright, Sachi, forget I asked.
なんでしょう。私の伺い知らないところで自分のキャラがどんどん解約されているような気がするのですが。
It's just your imagination.
大丈夫大丈夫。大体合ってるし。
そうなのかな。
Hey, I'm sure your image is important too, but I think you should be more worried about getting a replacement for that phone as soon as possible. Never know when you'll really need it.
そうですね。早めに電気屋さんへ行ってみます。
With those words, Sachi retrieves the dead cell phone from her bosom and returns it to its usual place in her pocket.
で、どうする？せっかくこの場に居合わせたのだから、お兄ちゃんも一緒にテレビ見てくか？
Well, can't say I have any plans, but...
だったら、一緒にマグロマンを応援するのよさ。
Oh boy. Tuna Fish Man is a Sunday morning show, right? And more importantly, wouldn't it be kind of creepy if I really did start cheering for a fresh fish superheroes with you?
全くです。
I'll peel you like a banana right here and now, you bogus maid.
大変です、マキちゃん。私今、明らかな低層の危機に直面しています。
You sure as heck aren't acting like it. Hey, what?
お？私のぺったんこな胸に渦巻くこの感情は何なのよ？
Hey, what's with that phrasing?
よくわかんねえけど、こう大事に育てた娘をどこぞの馬の骨に取られた46歳父って感じがするのよさ。
Where does she even learn these things? I mean, I'm like doing her route in the background. It still blows my mind. Alright, we are going to be ending here for today. That was interesting. Very fun. Sachi's very adorable. Like, I have to admit, like, I'm kind of coming around. Like, I think Michiru is still kind of king of the castle at the minute, but Sachi's getting to that point where, like, with Michiru, I was always laughing and smiling. Like, all of her stories, all of her stuff, like, even, like, it got really dark, obviously, but, like, most of the time, just interacting with her as a character was always very moving and engaging and just enjoyable. I'm starting to get a very similar feel with Sachi. Now that I'm getting to understand her a bit better, I'm also getting this appreciative, like, there's a lot of adorableness that comes with Sachi when she's genuinely just being herself. When she's around Makita, it gets really muddled and crazy. And when she's being in full swing maid mode, it just gets bizarre. Especially when she throws in those really random comments that just kind of throw me for a loop. But when you get right down to like the core, when it's like from the head pats and just her like wanting to like do a good job, and when she has her like her little philosophies where she'll like describe them or talk about her family, all those moments are actually like little precious gems that I'm actually really appreciating. So yeah, this might be a real strong contender. I'm getting the feeling that most of these paths are going to feel like that, where like as you go down them, they're just going to bloom and just really open up and make it feel almost impossible to pick a favorite. Because again, the fact that the audience and those of you who are watching this are so torn about which route is your favorite genuinely just supports this idea that they're all fantastic. So looking forward to experiencing them all, of course. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel and for being a part of this wonderful journey. If you're a patron and a member, special thank you to you. You're amazing. I'm looking forward. We're going to be having some votes coming up here pretty soon. We're wrapping up Starfield probably pretty quickly, and I do have a special project I've already announced to the patrons and members. So if you haven't watched a recent patron cast, go watch it, because that details some of the things and kind of I'm laying the groundwork for what will come in the near future. For everyone else, just know that the patrons and members have the future of the channel in their hands, and looking pretty bright. I think this is going to be a really good year. We're already kind of like halfway through 2024, which is weird to say out loud, but at the same time, I feel like the next half is just going to be real exciting and fun, and it'll be interesting because there are going to be some probably significant changes to the program eventually, like down the road, which is that thing. It's like the type of content I make, it's a lumbering beast. Like I don't phase through stories very rapidly, and so when we do plod along and get through these things, eventually we get to these points where it's like, oh, something's changing. And I feel like we're getting close to some precipices of some massive changes. So I hope you look forward to that. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for your support. And until next video watching me, you'll see me next. I'll see you there.